How do I prepare for a recession? So this is a major question that we're getting a lot right now because the market is moving all over the place and people are starting to get a little bit nervous. Now, I've got a news flash for you. There is always a recession coming. Recessions are very normal things when it comes to the economy and when it comes to the stock market. You need to always expect that there is a recession coming. Now, historically, recessions have come every 10 to 12 years. We've gone through a very long period of time where we haven't had a recession in a while. We've had pullbacks, we've had drawbacks, but we haven't had a full-on recession in a pretty long time. Now, the thing to understand is, a lot of people are going to tell you they know when a recession is coming. And here's a news flash for you. Nobody knows when a recession is coming. Unless somebody has a crystal ball, which you don't have a crystal ball, I don't have a crystal ball, nobody out there has a crystal ball, then they don't know when a recession is coming. And one of our earliest episodes on the podcast was all about this subject, on how there is a recession coming. We talked about the cycles and the different things that you go through when there's recessions. But there have been 13 recessions since World War II. It's a very normal thing that happens. There was one in 1945, 1948, 1953, 1957, 1960, 1969, 1973, 1980, 1981, 1990, 2001, 2007, and 2020. So the 2021 was the one due to the pandemic, and it only lasted 2 months. So that was actually the shortest recession that we've ever had. The longest recession that we've ever had was actually the Great Recession in 2007. So a lot of these recessions, if you look at them, they last less than a year. But you always want to be prepared for these because what happens during recessions is a lot of things. It's a sad time for a lot of people because a lot of people lose jobs. A lot of businesses go out of business, but a lot of big companies come out of recessions. The reason why is people might get laid off. They start their own business, figure out what they need to do next. And in dire times, people are forced to figure something out. So a lot of times recessions actually develop larger companies because people start startups and those startups do well over time. And that's how that kind of works out. The Personal Finance Podcast was started during the pandemic because we had a little extra time on our hand. We wanted to help people out. And that's how that actually started. But you can still prepare for a recession because a recession is always coming. Just like we talked about having an emergency fund, you always need an emergency fund because something in life is going to happen. You can do the same thing. A recession is always coming. When? I don't know. Nobody knows. Don't listen to anybody who tells you they know. But a recession is coming. So the first thing you want to do is start to beef up your emergency fund. If you're fearful that a recession is coming, it's going to help your mental capacity. It's going to help your stress and anxiety if you just beef up that emergency fund. Now, you have a little extra cash on hand just in case anything happens. Now, how much do you want in that emergency fund? Well, in the event of a job loss, you want to make sure you have enough to cover you until you can find another job. Now, if you look at historically how long these recessions are, if they're less than a year, typically, you can go to 6, 7, 8 months of cash and you'll have enough cash to be able to find another job. Now, if you're in a job where there is a very high demand, maybe you're in IT or you're a project manager or something along those lines, then you can have a smaller emergency fund if you feel comfortable with it. Now, if you're not comfortable with it, then I wouldn't do that. But if you are comfortable with it, then you can have a smaller emergency fund, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 months. But if you're worried about it, you're stressed out, make sure you beef up, put a little extra cash in that emergency fund just in case anything happens and you feel like your job will be at risk. Because what this does is it allows you to get yourself by until you find another job. If you have 6 months expenses, that means you have 6 months to find a job because you can pay for your bills, you can pay your mortgage or your rent, you can pay all your bills and make sure you're still on track while you go out and find another job because you lost an income. Now, where should you put this emergency fund? Typically, you want to put it in a high yield savings account. The reason why we talk about this is because if a recession happens and you have those dollars invested, typically the market will pull back 30, 40, 50%, and you don't want your emergency fund cut in half at the time that you need it most. Yes, it's not the most optimal place to put it. It's not the best place to put it where your cash is going to grow. And with inflation, you're losing a certain percentage every single year. We know that. But this is a safety net. This is to help you stay safe in financial need. That's why we always talk about putting it in a high yield savings account. The second thing, if you want to prepare for a recession, is you want to reduce your debt so you don't have those extra payments lingering around. So reducing your debt, paying off specifically high interest debt should always be paid off fast. But if you have lower interest debt, you want to get rid of it. Maybe you have a couple car loans that are 3%. Maybe you have a personal loan that's 4%. Maybe you have a home equity line that's 4%. You want to start to get rid of some of those so that you don't have additional payments and then you can keep some extra cash on the side. Because the more debt liability you have, the higher risk your finances are. So making sure that you get rid of some of those debts, if you're worried about a recession, will help you mentally. And when the recession comes along, it'll be much better for you in the long term. The next thing is make sure you're working on your credit score if you have bad credit, or you're increasing your credit score so that you can get a loan at any time. Because this doesn't only help you during a recession when you make no money, but having a good credit score helps you get a loan at any time no matter what is going on. See, during a recession, things go on sale like real estate. And if you want to borrow in real estate, you have to have a really good credit score because banks start to get a little shaky and a little scared during recessions to lend out as much money. They don't lend as much money as they typically do, but they will lend money if you have a really strong financial history and a really strong credit score. So you want to make sure that you're working on that credit score, solidifying at least something over a 700 so that you can get into play when you need to. Maybe you need to borrow money because you lost a job and it's taking you longer to find a job, or you want to borrow money because you want to buy more assets. Those are the two reasons why you'd want to increase that credit score as well. The next one along those same lines is get ready to buy more stocks in real estate because everything is going to be on sale. See, what a lot of people do is they do the opposite. They start to panic. There have been a lot of pullbacks as of late, and I'm getting a lot of messages of people saying, maybe I shouldn't be investing right now. Listen to me. When the market goes down, this is a better time to invest. Warren Buffett said it best. Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. The reason why is stocks are on sale. Real estate is on sale because you're buying into these assets at a lower price. Now, this is something that takes time to train your mind. I know how it is. It's scary when you see your portfolio drop 50%. It's not something that's fun to do, especially if you look at your portfolio a lot. So a tip I can give you is look at your portfolio less and understand and train your mind to understand. Now is the time to do this, is to work on your money psychology. Train your mind to understand that this is very normal. And historically, if you look at a stock market chart, historically, it's gone in one direction. If you look at the very long term, it's gone in one direction. It's gone up. Now, for the S&P 500, the stock market not to go up over a very long period of time, what that would mean is the U.S. economy is in disrepair. So if you believe long-term in the U.S. economy, meaning the companies that develop things like Tesla, Apple, Microsoft, Netflix, Google, all of these powerful companies are from the United States of America. So if you believe in the United States of America and their economy in the long run, look at the companies that are in the United States, look how much international exposure they have, how well diversified they have, look at the innovation that they have, and think through this for a second. Do you think the US economy is going to be better off in the long run? Potentially, maybe, maybe not. Maybe it doesn't have a surge that it's had for the long run if you're a little bit more bearish on that. But for most people, they're going to understand, look at the companies that are inside the United States, look at how much impact they have internationally, and you can understand that typically a lot of these companies are going to do well. The same thing goes for real estate. A lot of real estate investors made millions and millions, if not billions of dollars during the last recession because when the prices go down, you can get into these rental properties at a much cheaper price. And then once rents start to climb back up again, then you've gotten into these properties at a much cheaper price and you're making 2 to 3% per month on your rental property in rents. So think through this a little bit. Have a little extra cash on hand if you want to, so that you can buy into some of these when you're ready, specifically if you're looking at real estate. I don't believe in holding cash on the sidelines when you're in the stock market, but if you're going into real estate and you want to have a little additional cash so you can buy some of these properties at lower prices, then more power to you. But the thing is, you don't know when a recession is going to happen. I don't know when a recession is going to happen. Nobody knows when a recession is going to happen, so don't try to predict that. Now, one thing that I want to note is that you should not be foregoing your financial plan just because you think a recession is coming. That's what I'm talking about. Don't have your cash just sitting on the sidelines for no reason because you think a recession is coming. You need to stick to your investment plan. If you're going to invest 25 to 30% of your income every single month, you need to stick to that. If you're trying to invest 50% of your income every single month, you need to stick to that. If you're just starting out and you want to invest 10% of your income every single month, you need to stick to that through thick and thin. There have been so many times that I thought there was going to be a recession coming, 2014, 2015, 2016. And imagine if I stopped my investment plan during those times, during these major booms. This is something that is very hard to predict. So Peter Lynch, one of the best investors of all time, said it best. Far more money has been lost by investors preparing for corrections or trying to anticipate corrections than has been lost in corrections themselves. Meaning, a lot more money has been lost by just not investing your dollars and sticking to your plans and sitting on the sidelines because an economic boom is happening and now you're not making those gains on those dollars. See, to really get these 10% returns that we always talk about, you have to keep your money invested. If you start to pull your money out, there are very few times where if you pull your money out on certain dates, then that 10% return is going to go down to 7, 6, 5% over the lifetime of your career. Now, there's a very big difference in your investing career if you do that. If you pull that money out during that time and you only get 5, 6, 7%, you're looking at potential millions of dollars that you're losing out on just because you took your money out because you were waiting for a recession. So make sure you stay invested, keep those dollars invested. It's incredibly important to do this and stick to your investment plan. That is why we write out our investment plan. We have it in place and we review it all the time so that you understand why you're doing this. There's a reason why you're doing this, and you want to stick to that investment plan. Don't think about recessions. If you want to have a little cash on the sidelines because you want to buy real estate, fine. But don't keep cash out or don't start selling your assets because you think a recession is coming. Trying to predict recessions is counterproductive. But if you understand what we're talking about in this podcast, then you're going to understand that trying to predict a recession is just a complete waste of time. Thank you guys so much for watching this money Q&A video. If you guys have any questions or want to leave a question with me, hit me up on Instagram or TikTok at Master Money Co. And if you like this video, here's another Q&A video that I know you're going to love.